We are certainly grateful in Kansas City that St. Mahomes rode in on his valiant horse because we went through dark, dark decades in Kansas City, like bad, bad, bad times. So it's been good. So,
That's
but
good.
at any rate, thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I'm looking forward to delving in to your world and what makes you work. And I think I'm getting to a point where I don't want to ask this question anymore, but I think it's applicable because we all went through such a time. How did you get through the COVID period and how did it change you?
So I've been listening to some of your interviews, and that is your question. And I've been thinking about that. That was like an amazing time for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
We thrived. We built a business that just really thrived during COVID. We have 4 kids, and they're great.
Yeah.
So we didn't mind having them home. I don't. You might feel different.
Well,
You might feel different.
yeah, I was in construction full time at that time. And so that was considered an essential job.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everybody and their dog had a project going on. I mean, we were just covered completely up. I mean, there was so much work. It was incredible. But the materials problem, that was a huge, huge problem, getting materials, supplies, workers. And so that was the part that really was a challenge for me. So when we started our coaching business, it just it just so happened that I was burned out with construction at that point, that when the coaching business took off, man, I jumped in on that full force and kind of slowly retired for a little while from construction.
So I went from being a stay-at-home mom. I've been in fitness for 20 years, but I went from being a stay-at-home mom to making 6 figures pretty quickly. And he was able to just be like, okay, peace out, construction.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to do it anymore. It was truly a blessing. But with that being said, it was also a major, I don't know, after a turning point for us as far as my mental health and kind of what I wrote my book about.
So I remember during that time period going to Lowe's or going to Home Depot, and it was like they were giving away free things. The whole parking lot was just full because everybody was like, what are you going to do? We're all going to be at home. This is our sanctuary. So we better get it looking good or do the things that we didn't have time to do before.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm amazed too at how much coaching has exploded. I mean, it used to be kind of one of those things, maybe, I'm in my early 50s, so I remember you would hear about coaches in the 90s, but it was only something that the rich people got. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then now it's a part of, I think, our maybe all of us hit this point in our lives where we want more, or mental health is important, or just a collection of everything. We know we're not here long, and we saw the mortality flash before our eyes for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connection. People want true, authentic connection.
100%. And that's
Yeah.
the other thing, as connected as we were, because I'm sure you're from the generation that if this would have happened in like 1985, we would have had tape decks, bad VCRs, no FaceTime, I mean, all of this is like Jetson stuff right now we're dealing
Yeah.
with. But we
Yeah.
still needed the people. We needed that human connection.
Yeah, it
So,
was great. I think too, with the health coaching business, we really had a lot of fantastic mindset resources. So it just really hit at the perfect time because we were doing a lot of personal development at that time, which was timely because there were so many people that were just really having a hard time. So I think that's what helped us so much is we were really communicating a lot of hope, because I think that the four basic needs of your followers are trust, compassion, stability, and hope. And that's what Tiffany and I have really been pumping out for a long, long time. So I think that's been super helpful for us.
So how did you meet? How did this union begin, and how did you decide? Because it's a big, like, for instance, my wife is I'm an IT guy by day and she's a teacher, so we work together. And I remember in the beginning it was like, oh, when do we say anything, and how does this work, and how do you coexist with your partner? So tell me how you met and how you decided to cross this bridge to be business partners.
This is the best question you could have asked. So I'm a survivor of PTSD and abusive relationships. And so my abusive marriages started at age 18. And by the time Chris and I got together, I had been married 3 times and divorced. I had 2 kids, 8 and 3 at the time. And he
Yeah.
tells our story
Here we
amazingly,
go.
but it is unique and totally a God thing.
So we first met 14, 15 years ago at what I like to call group therapy on steroids. So we went to this event called Discovery and in Dallas. And so it's basically you're going into this event 1 weekend out of the month for 3 months. We go to this event and we're solely working on ourselves, right?
I was there to save my 3rd marriage.
And I was there to save my first marriage and myself. I knew that I had a part in that. And so we went to this event. Before you go into this conference room at the DoubleTree Hotel, there's a waiting area and there's a row of chairs. And Tiffany's sitting probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 chairs down from me. We both showed up early. She kept checking me out. No, I'm kidding. Wish she was.
No
There you go.
way.
See, that's how it happens.
Not yet.
She was looking at me and I was looking at her, and I just had this overwhelming sense of, man, I know this person. How do I know her? So she finally gets up and says, hey, I think I know you. And I was like, oh my God, I was sitting here thinking the exact same thing. So we tried to figure it out, and we never really could put our finger. It was just a strange, weird, mystical connection. So we go through the event, no flirting, nothing like that, because I was there to work on me and my marriage. I truly wanted to save it, and she was doing the exact same thing. But we were grouped together, and I noticed that she was never really paying, attention, not really going all into the event. That was one of the big things. Go all in, right? I was the only one picking up on her BS, and I called her out on this. I was like, hey, you're not going all into this thing. And she was like, you know what? Thank you for seeing me. You're the only person, even the facilitators weren't picking up on her lack of, commitment to this program.
So fast forward, we go home because he likes to get the
I can tell. Yeah, I like.
Fine. It's good. I understand. I'm a talker.
No, it's great. So we went home. My marriage did not make it, and unknowingly, I didn't know that his didn't either. And about a year later.
Well, hold on, you're missing some parts here.
Okay.
So in this program, you're connected to each other with an email system, right? And so my job, I was elected large group leader over this whole thing. There was like 96 people in our group. She was one of the small group leaders. So my job was to check in with them to make sure that they were doing all of their things for the next session that was going to happen the next month, making sure that she was going to be able to get her people to come back and stuff like that. So that's really all the communication we had. So we had this email group, and because that's how you did it back then, right? You all had these email groups. And so fast forward a year, she got divorced. I got divorced. My cousin's wife, I had been single for about a year. She recommended that I start Facebook. And I'm like, I don't give a crap about Facebook. I don't want to. She goes, you'll meet some girls. Just get on Facebook. You've been single for a long time. So I jump on Facebook. Well, lo and behold, back then, Facebook would go into your email account and send a friend request on your behalf.
Yeah.
Well, she pops up as a friend request. I'm like, oh, I remember her. She's smoking hot. And so I was like, yes, I will be her friend. So I check her profile and I see that she's single. Well, I don't know how Facebook works. So apparently I wrote her this message on her wall for all the world to see.
He was like, oh my gosh, you're single. I am too.
It was
all caps.
All caps and like a million exclamation points.
So he's about 2.5 to 3 hours away from
I
me.
used to live in North Texas at the time. I was in the Dallas area.
Yeah. So we went back and forth messaging. He came to visit me, and we knew right away that we were supposed to be together. And 6 weeks later,
6 weeks later, we got married. But during that time, I
Wow.
was really working on me.
Yeah.
I knew that I had a role to play in the devastation of things in my life. And so I was like, you know what? I prayed a lot too. And I remember about 3 months before we actually got reunited on Facebook, I had a vision and a dream of a girl with black hair, blue eyes, tan skin, but I never could figure out who this person was in this dream.
Yeah.
So we fast forward to our first actual re-encounter, right? I drive all the way to Longview. It takes me about 2.5 to 3 hours to get there. We are at her little duplex or townhouse. The kids were in bed and we were sitting in front of the TV and we were just embracing each other. Nothing sexual, nothing like that. And I immediately was brought back to that vision and that dream. And I was like, oh my God, I hope you don't think I'm cheesy, but you are literally the girl of my dreams. And she's like, no, I actually believe in that kind of stuff. And I was like, really? Oh, this is awesome. And so,
so the cool part is, and then we can move on. This is an amazing story, but we did not have sex before we got married, and we wanted to do it right.
that's why we got married in 6 weeks.
And
Okay.
I can tell you, considering where I've come from with my background of abuse and trauma, I didn't realize how important that was to build trust.
Yeah.
I had
So
no idea.
as Christians, we believe that, you shouldn't have sex before marriage. And I had screwed up plenty of relationships doing it my way.
Yeah.
And I made a deal with the Lord. I said, hey, I'm going to do it your way. And I just hit my knees one morning and I just told him, hey man, I don't want to ask you for anything. I just want to tell you how I feel. And I said, I'm lonely. If you got somebody for me, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. And immediately I felt a cold rush of wind overtake me. And it was like, that's what God was waiting for me to just kind of surrender that to him. And then bam, here comes Tiffany. And so we just knew immediately, you hear that story all the time, but it genuinely was a euphoric feeling when we connected. And I was like, this is weird. I've never experienced this before. So
So we had twins, less than a year later. I got
Yeah.
pregnant in March. We got married in December. So I was a stay-at-home mom for about 8 years, to go back to your question about working together. And so I had been in fitness for about 20 years, but I wasn't actively working at a gym anymore. So when this coaching thing came along and it was all done virtually, it's my gift. And I just thrived. I've coached about 1,400 people in the last 4 years. It's been such a blessing. And I don't think that you realize that it was kind of your gift too.
yeah,
And we've had some really tough moments, but we have figured out our role, and sometimes it changes. But there were a lot of hard moments where we thought we might not make it
yeah.
if we were going to make this business work, in all honesty.
Yeah, but I knew that she was destined for greatness. I just knew that in my mind, I think she's a Ferrari, right? But she was grabbing the 10 speed in the garage and driving that thing all the time and wondering why she couldn't get anywhere. I'm like, well, honey, you're riding around on your 10 speed. You're a freaking Ferrari, but you got to shuck off all of this crap and stop playing the victim. And you've really got to step into who you were created to be. And that's, a Ferrari, you're made for greatness. And so this coaching opportunity, like she said, it really opened up a lot of doors for us. And so our mission is to just really empower as many people as we possibly can by sharing our story, being vulnerable with people, and just sharing hope and giving them the tools, not just telling the story, but Tiffany's really brilliant in developing a system that works really, really well to help people.
Through fitness, community, mindset. So like there's more than just the workout.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the strength of this business is going to be based on the strength of you two. because you're running the business.
Absolutely.
And what you want to do is create these moments for your clients where the light bulb goes off and they realize things and they work on it. So I'm going to turn the tables on you. What was the moment that you two had where you realized something about each other that you didn't realize because you got into business together?
Hmm. Want to go first?
No.
You know what? I can say, like, I've always known that he loves me, but like his belief in me, I can see it when he looks at me. I can feel it when he talks to me. So he is constantly cheering me on. We like to say he manages my emotions sometimes, but I didn't, I don't think I knew that, but I didn't feel it. My head and my heart were not connected.
Yeah.
And so by working together and constantly growing to be a better leader and live a congruent life, I'm able to connect my head and my heart. And now I feel the love and the belief that he has for me through this coaching together.
Yeah, I think she just needed the right tools, like, so I'm a carpenter and I've got a big trailer outside that's full of tools. But those tools don't work unless you plug them into the right power source. And so Tiffany just needed that thing, to just unlock that greatness that I already knew that she had. She's really great at motivating, really great at connecting, really great at empathizing with people. We just needed the right vehicle. And this coaching opportunity, that was the perfect vehicle. And so I knew that it was going to work. Hopefully I'm answering your question correctly. The feeling that we get when we see somebody else have that moment, they're like, yeah. And so I was like, this is it, Tiffany. This is what we're supposed to do.
What did you learn about me?
I learned that Tiffany is way stronger than she thinks she is. I learned that growth is always on the other side of the suck.
Yeah.
That I've also learned that what we focus on expands. And so if we focus on loving and serving other people, then the how works itself out. And like I said, we just needed the right vehicle. And this was the perfect opportunity because we really do long to serve people and help them unlock the greatness that's already inside of them. But so many people are held back by, like Tiffany, the trauma, abuse, all of those things.
Addiction. So I'm in
Addictions.
recovery too.
Yeah.
So we can peel back those layers. Man, there's so much to every single person. They just don't realize it. We feel like we just get to help peel back those layers and they get to step into their greatness.
So let's go back to this dreamland. If you two had a dream tonight and you ran into each other in your 20s and you could give each other a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained in your life up to this point, something that you feel like would mutually benefit each of you without maybe knowing each other, but just being people that have some premonition of the future, what advice would you give each other?
You want to go first?
Well, kind of like when I first met her, I would really lean in and just tell her, hey, look, don't give up. Like, I know I can sense that there's a lot that you've had to go through in your life, but it's kind of like the letter you wrote to yourself in your book, the little girl version, just, hey, it's going to be all right. Keep going. You are destined for so much more, but you've got to endure. You've got to outlast the temporary.
Yeah, that was mine. Keep going. And we like to
What would you
say,
tell me?
give yourself permission to think differently.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, be open and curious with a
Yeah.
growth mindset and embrace the obstacle as the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Right on. So everyone out there has a perception of you as a team, as a coaching unit. And, there's all these perceptions that we have of each other. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you're the driving force behind that. You're the one that's leading this image. So who do you think you are as a unit helping people? What is your perception, like deep down, that maybe people don't realize? Maybe all the clients, they know you in these certain lights, but ultimately at your core, who are you? What are you?
Hmm. That would probably be our I am statements that we do every day, because that's what
Yes.
we speak and declare over ourselves.
So there's a tool that I write about in my book, and I have all of my clients do it. And um, I've been writing a declaration paragraph for 2 years every single morning. And it has statements in it like, I am positive, I'm joyful, I'm confident, I'm empowered, I'm highly favored, I'm a warrior, I'm limitless, I'm wealthy, I'm an impactful leader, um, I'm the dominant force in my life. Everything always works out for me. Those kind of things. And
I
I believe that to my core. And I live it out loud every day to give those suffering in silence hope.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I would say that we constantly are working on becoming the best version of ourselves. Even on the days, because everyone has them, that they just suck. But I would want people to know that we're constantly contending to be better versions of ourselves so that we can better serve other people. And even on our worst days where we just don't feel like putting one foot in front of the other, Tiffany and I still get up extra early, and we still do all of the things that we prescribe for people that follow us.
So we recommend having, this is good advice for any listeners, at least 3 power promises. Those are 3 promises that you can do even on your worst day to honor the commitments that you've made to yourself. And with that, it will help you love yourself a little bit more. And it's as simple as making your bed,
Mm.
drinking all the water you're supposed to drink. What's one of yours?
Mine is having my quiet time, my prayer time, and meditation.
Yeah.
I'm not me without that.
Yeah. And then writing my paragraph every single morning, even if I don't feel like it. So power promises are a really big deal for us because those are things you can do even on your worst day.
So let's say there's someone out there that's on the edge, that is either watching this, listening to it, or have known of you or have thought about coaching, and you have a minute, a very short, like tweet, so to speak, 140 characters, to convince somebody to make that move and to reach out and to start something and to get into coaching, hire you. What are you going to say to them?
Mm.
I think today's 40-day circle the prayer thing, get your feet wet.
Okay, good.
So I would say that what I believe that holds most people back is they're getting ready to get ready. They're constantly thinking about, well, I've got to get all my ducks in a row. Well, if you're constantly getting your ducks in a row, you've got miles of ducks stacked up before you actually will make any real action. So I would say don't worry about the how. Don't be trapped in the tyranny of the how.
Do it scared.
Do it scared.
What we need the most, we resist the most. So if there is just a little voice in your heart saying that you need to do something or make a move to become a better you, listen to that, don't question it, rip the band-aid off and do it scared. Because what do you have to lose?
Right.
But you have everything to gain.
Yeah.
So many people are looking for a sign to happen before they take action.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like anything, like when you have a child or you buy a house or you make a big thing, you're never 100%. I mean, you're just not ready. You're never ready for anything, you
Yeah.
know? It's just the unexpected nature of life. You just have to go in and hope for the best, but sometimes with coaching you need help. You need somebody
Yeah.
to kind of lead you along the way. Um,
That reminds,
Everybody needs a great coach. We have
Yeah.
hired a coach for everything, and it is the best investment that you can make in yourself.
well, that reminds me of a story. When Tiffany and I first got married, she wanted to have kids right away, and I said, "Let me pay my truck off first." And she was like, "Well, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard."
Yeah.
So
We anyway.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So let me ask you this. If anyone wants to pick up the book, hire you, learn more about you, reach out, how can they do that?
Yeah, so my book is called Wounded to Warrior: How to Participate in Your Own Rescue. It can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart website. On Facebook, I am Tiffany Owen, and
Instagram,
Instagram, Coach Tiffany Owen,
LinkedIn.
and I'm on LinkedIn too.
Yep.
I'm real easy to find. I can give you the link to my website too. So
And I think I have that already from
okay.
the
Yeah,
from the
I'm
profile.
real easy to find, and I have a form that you can fill out on my Facebook page that will connect you to me,
Yeah.
and we can see if I'm a good fit.
Okay. Excellent. Hey, thank you. Well, I was just thinking about coaching. You know, the Chiefs wouldn't be anywhere without Andy Reid. We needed that. They need the coach.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Love it.
Hey, thank you so much for your story. I love the tandem things. Hopefully you discovered a little bit about yourselves and together. So thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank
Great
you.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you so
That was
much.
fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. It was wonderful.